Hi everyone, and welcome to Parashat Vayeshev. Last week in Shul we spoke about the idea of the thought behind giving gifts in light of the whole dialogue between Yaakov and Esav when they met. With Hanukkah fast approaching, we sometimes, I think, overlook how to give a gift, whether it's we send something in the post or it's wrapped or hand delivered. Rabbi Josh Flog actually refers us to an experiment that was carried out in the United States a couple of years ago, and its findings are recorded in the Conversation magazine online. It was a study to find out what impact wrapping has on the person's appreciation of the gift that's receiving it. In the first round, they took about 180 students. All of them were fans of the famous Miami Heat team, and they gave them an assignment, and the reward was a mug. Half of those mugs were the Miami Heat mugs, and the other half were the rival team, the Orlando Magic. In addition to that, half of the mugs were wrapped up like quite neatly, and the others were like sloppily wrapped. When they surveyed the group about whether they liked their gifts and their presents, the satisfaction rate wasn't broken down by the type of mug they received, but rather those that had a gift that was received with bad wrapping, they actually enjoyed their gifts more than those who had mugs that were wrapped neatly. And to understand why that was the case, they went ahead and conducted another experiment. A different group of students were given gifts. Half of them were neatly wrapped, half of them were not neatly wrapped. And before opening them, they were asked to imagine what was inside that particular package, and then write down your expectations of what that gift's going to be. All of them received the same thing, a pair of headphones. Those that received the package in sloppy packaging were actually more happy, more satisfied with the gift than the ones that had received a parcel that was neatly packaged. The conclusion was that neat packaging can lead to expectations that are going to be dashed. But if you receive something that's sloppily packaged, then at least you can manage your expectations, or better still, exceed them. The Gemara in Shabbat on Daf Yud Amud Bet 10b has a very powerful statement when it comes to the sale of Yosef. The Gemara says over there that Rava Bar Machsia said in the name of Rav, Leolam al yishne adam banav, a person should never distinguish one of his sons from amongst the other sons by giving them special treatment, by showing favoritism. Because as the Gemara says, for the weight of 2 selah of fine wool that Jacob gave Joseph, which he didn't give to the rest of his sons, in making that famous coat of multicolors, the ketonet pasim, all his brothers became jealous of him. And the thing unfolded, the story unfolded, and it caused our forefathers to come down to Egypt. Rabbi Yehuda Leib Chasman explains that if we wouldn't have this comment of the rabbis in the Talmud, we would have come along and thought, you know what? There was something more to the hatred, the animosity between the brothers and Yosef. Maybe the jealousy were palpable, and the coat was just a symbol of that jealousy. The rabbis are telling us that the opposite is the truth. The ketonet pasim, the coat, was the cause of all the hatred. The brothers saw that coat and they said, Yosef must be the most beloved brother. And we ask ourselves, really? Were they that superficial to make one of the most major mistakes in Jewish history based on a coat? So he actually explains that we have a precedent for this in halacha. Jewish law says, the Gemara in Shavuot, that if 2 individuals come to judgment, Shnaim Shabao Ledin, and one of them is dressed besal matutim in rags, and the other one's dressed in a garment that's worth hundreds of dinarim, hundreds of pounds, how do we know Shomrim lo levush kemoto, that the judge has to say to the wealthy person, either you dress like the poor person, or the poor person has to dress like you? Because the Torah says, Midavar sheker tirchak, you have to stay away from falsehood. Now, we would think that a Dayan, a great rabbinical judge, would change his ruling because one litigant is dressed one way and another is dressed another way. But it's human nature, my friends. We judge a book by its cover. And that is the trap that the brothers fell into, not realizing that Jacob had his reasons for giving Yosef that particular coat. We're all human beings. And we jump to conclusions, and sometimes those conclusions are the wrong ones because they're based on external wrappings. We look at the way someone dresses and think we know everything about that person. So maybe if we learn to manage our expectations, maybe if we just breathe and we pause before coming to any conclusions until we get to know the person standing in front of us, then maybe our relationships will be much more significant, much deeper, and much more meaningful. Shabbat Shalom.